and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. And now I'm going to hand you over to Focus for Mega Man Xtreme 2.
Hello everyone, my name is FocusSight, or just Focus. This is a bit of a sudden moment, but hey, we're running Xtreme 2. Really glad to see this. This was a game released in 2001 for the Game Boy Color. We are currently running the Japanese version, which confusingly is called Rockman X2, like the SNES game, but with a subtitle, Soul Eraser. With me in commentary, I have Tempest Mask 1000, if you'd like to mention some things over, Tempest.
Hi, my name is Tempest Mask 1000, and I also run this game, but I do not usually do the 100% category. I am currently an any percent runner, and yeah, but I've definitely played this game a lot back in my childhood, so I am very honored to be commentating for Focus today. And yeah, I just hope you guys are ready to see this because I believe this is a real hidden gem. I feel like we're definitely going to be introducing something to the X fans that I feel a lot of people have never seen before. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, but before we begin, I'd like to explain what this screen is. This is the button configuration screen. So we have specific settings you can set on or off before the run, and so we can choose the best settings. For us, we choose Scramble Change for Select, which basically means swapping between X and 0, which is useful in this mode, Extreme mode. Auto Charge is set to off, but Rensha, which is basically an auto fire, is set to on. So basically as X, we can't automatically charge any weapon, but we can auto fire. And this is useful because a lot of enemies just don't have invincibility like frames, so you can just spam the regular attack. With that in mind, I think we're ready to begin, so I'll just start with the countdown, and yeah, this should be a pretty fun run, I hope. Anyways, we'll begin in...
I just got confirmation that I'm a bit too loud from the chat. I'm very sorry for that.
You are a bit too loud, but I can't change it on my end, so...
No, I can change it. I think I'm fine.
Okay. Anyways, let's begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go.
With text! We can do this. So this is one of the main reasons why the Japanese version is faster. Would you like to explain a little bit, Tempest?
Yeah, so the Japanese version as compared to the American version is practically faster by about 1 minute or so, and part of this has to do with the unskippable cutscenes. So we're starting off the level right now with X and 0 because Extreme Mode gives us the ability to switch between the two right from the get-go, and that's a very nice quick gate right there, so because the moment you destroy that claw enemy, you're sent into this cutscene right here, and depending on who you destroy it as will determine the path you're going down. X will go down to the bottom row, 0 goes to the top. Focus is going to have to go through these enemies as fast as he can. We're going to have a few damage boosts. We usually think of spikes as instant kill, but for some reason in this level, they actually just do normal damage. So that's a very interesting thing I find. And yeah, we're already at the first boss. Though most Mega Man X runners usually like to come up with fancy names for the intro boss. For me, I lovingly and affectionately call him Mega Skeletor. You can guess why.
He has a name. I think they think this boss has a name, but
it's
one really important thing that we should be mentioning is that in Xtreme 2, the one probably major downfall compared to people who played the main series is that dashing is not a button. You're limited to the Game Boy Color's 4 buttons, really, the A, B, Select, and Start, as well as the D-pad. So on the Game Boy Color, you're really limited in terms of options. They have 2 ways of or 3 ways, I suppose, of doing dashes. First is an air dash, which 0 has immediately, but X does not. X gets it as an upgrade. The second is to do down and A. This allows you to spam dashes, but it means you can't do a jump dash. Basically, a dash jump, rather. It means you can't get the speed from the dash into your jump. The other is to double tap whatever direction, either up, down, or up, not down. Up, dashing down doesn't do anything. Up, right, or left, depending on how you want to move. And that's typically the way we use, but if you have a long, straight path, you can just down A spam. But, are there any donations to read at this time? There's just a bit of text here, really.
Yeah.
Certainly, thank you very much. We have a donation from Anonymous from earlier for $40. Thank you very much. And that goes towards 3 different incentives that are coming up later in the marathon with Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword 80% Demise Back in Time, Lego Star Wars Complete Saga DS 80% Who Will Jump the Moon, and Kingdom Hearts Fun Mix 80% Beginner. So let's get those donations in. Thank you.
For sure, it's always for a good cause.
Can I explain DNA Souls?
Sure, feel free to.
Alright, All right, so one thing you'll notice within the game that Focus will be doing is we'll be getting what's called DNA Souls. This game takes after the PlayStation trilogy of the Mega Man X games in the sense that we have a part shop, and DNA Souls are the currency to get this. This is actually probably what I consider to be a lot more simpler than, say, X5 or 6
or
by
even
a long
8.
shot. Yeah, absolutely. Like, basically all Focus needs to do is collect a specific type of health or weapon refills. It looks like a diamond, but it has a white center in it. If it's not that, then it's not a DNA soul. You can easily tell if it comes from the stage or not. Right there, Focus is picking up his first armor upgrade since this is the 100% run, and I'm sure a lot of you are already surprised that Zero actually has a full set of armor upgrades. For whatever reason, Dr. Light decided to develop these capsules for him to use, and it's pretty interesting. It doesn't do too much, it just gives you stuff like a few buffs, and later on we'll be having a very special attack for Zero, but yeah. But anyway, back to DNA Souls. Essentially, whenever Focus collects what's called a single cluster, he's getting 4 DNA Souls. If it's a double cluster, it's 8, and a triple cluster is worth 16 altogether. And then when Focus defeats
No, it's worth
a
12.
Maverick...
It's worth 12.
Oh, really?
It's 4, 8,
I
12. And
calculated
also, the important thing that you forgot to mention is that there are some that are in the stage. There's a big yellow one that's for health. That actually does count to DNA Souls. It's 20. Another big thing that I should mention is that actually, while these parts aren't too important, this foot part basically breaks blocks. It's used for a sequence break in Xtreme 100% that prevents us from having to go back to the stages to get everything. It means we can get everything in one fell swoop.
Right. Alright, so he's about to take on Wire Sponge. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys might remember him from X2 in the sense that we want to take care of him as fast as we can. Best luck we have is to prevent him from getting all triggered and stuff, but it looks like we might have to... Oh, no. Oh, yeah, he got the quick kill.
I don't know how that happened, because that is not supposed to happen. If he lands after, like, having the sort of, desperation mode, like, at that point in time, he's supposed to normally just go into it, and that wastes a lot of time. And we got fast text. Don't know how that happens.
Yo.
So, you want to explain fast text?
Actually, I don't think I've ever encountered that one before. Could you explain that one for me?
So, for some reason, it might be a missed input. It might be some sort of input on the screen or something odd. The game just decides that text screen, you normally have to wait through the slowly scrolling text, but if the game is nice to you, sometimes it can just be like, hey, it's quick. There have been many theories as to why, but we haven't really figured out or nailed down quite yet what causes it. I personally believe that it has to deal with an input as the screen flashes, but some people have gotten it without actually having any input in, so they just leave the boss and then immediately get fast text without doing anything. And that's actually a time of about 4 seconds or something, like 3-4 seconds, so it's a huge thing that we just don't understand.
Wow, I mean, I never understood it up until now, so thank you for teaching me that.
No worries.
But, yeah, so, we're at Tunnel Rhino stage now. Oh, yeah, dang, okay. So, yeah, that was a heart tank up there. I think, is it faster to, try for it again?
Of course, you need to get it again.
Well, true.
And there's no way to get up here without that, so...
Yeah, exactly. By the way, you're noticing that we're playing as Zero. So I want to quickly mention that Zero already has the air dash ability above X, but he does come at the, he cannot do an up air dash, right as Focus is getting the next part. So Zero is capable of doing an air dash, but once we get the foot parts for X, he'll be able to do his up dash. X's armor in this game is actually the Mega Man X2 armor, but the added bonus is we can do the up dash like in X3, so that's a really cool thing. As you can see, Focus is using the right armor because it's completely immune to spikes, and we want to try and avoid as much damage as we can so the armor takes the damage for us. Quickly returning to DNA Souls, every time we beat a boss for the first time, we get 200 DNA Souls. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. How this plays into getting the parts is parts can be unlocked once Focus collects enough to match the total. For instance, there's a part called Buster Plus 2, and I think that requires 1,000 last time I checked.
And you need to get 2,000, about double.
Yeah, so basically that's how many we need to collect for this to work, because there's also a part called Hyper Dash, and I think that's especially important for Xtreme, right?
No, we don't actually get Hyperdash at all, because it needs 26,000 unpurchased souls, and that is way too much time. But now you're going to see here Zero Final. I'll explain Zero Final. So, the parts in this game are really useful to getting certain things. So the parts are super useful because, for instance, what we bought at the thing just before this boss here, Tunnel Rhino, was half weapon energy, essentially. You can see it on the bottom right there. That Zero Final normally takes more than half the weapon gauge, so that means normally you should only be able to use it once. But in Xtreme 2, if you get that, you can use it twice. That takes 10 points of damage from the boss. Bosses take 32 hits in this game, so you can do 3 jump slashes, which are 4 damage points each, and then 2 Zero Finals, which are 10 points each. And because these bosses do have invincibility frames, it's just faster to menu and hit Zero Final, instead of just wasting time jumping over and over again.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and by the way, X does have a ultimate move as well. Unfortunately, the Giga Crush, I mean, well, considering that Zero has his own energy, whereas Giga Crush needs to charge up, and considering it's a bit of a cutscene, that wastes a bit of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Zero Final still has a cutscene, it's just that it's much shorter. And, I mean,
very short.
Giga Crush is also dependent upon taking damage, as you said, which means that you need to, it's like a situation in like it's like the one in X7 for X, where basically you just have to wait and just get hit enough. Also, confusingly, those of you who've played X3, this isn't Volt Catfish's stage.
Seahorses.
It's Toxic Seahorse's stage, but it's Volt Catfish's theme, and he's the final boss, so this makes sense.
Yeah, I like to think that Volt Catfish is just crashing the place because it's been long abandoned.
I mean, seeing all the sewage and stuff, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. Another important thing is, as capsules, you can only get them as the character that they're meant to, even though the Game Boy Color palette makes it such that it's just the main character of the color of the character you're playing as. So even though it looked like a Zero capsule, it's not. It's an X capsule, and so it will not activate until you get X. But this is where X becomes just as movement efficient as Zero, because now we have the air dash plus a vertical air dash, which we'll see in action right here.
All right, so let's see if Focus can get the title skip right here. Let's just and yeah, there we go. All right, so basically you have to be very quick because that water current there can push X, and if you get caught in it, that is absolutely a no-go. Guaranteed you don't hit the spikes. We also just skipped another current, except that one is instant death. Here's why. It's full of electricity. You can tell by the flashing.
I did not know that was it. I just thought it was extra colorful.
No,
I didn't think that was electricity. I didn't think that never came to my head. I'm just like, oh, it's flashing.
It's Volt Catfish. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, that's a very... if we were to do any percent, we would just skip that heart tank and try to get it in one...
Oh my god.
Oh,
nice
no.
Nice error on that.
Oh.
So that means we're going to have to play this stage through again. Just give me a second. That's okay.
On the bright
Perfect
side...
mashing. Perfect movement.
I want to assure the audience right now that this does not necessarily mean run over. Luckily, Xtreme 2 has an autosave feature, which means that we can immediately jump back to the last checkpoint that we hit.
Which was before that.
Right, so we're going to lose a bit of time, but if that were to ever happen again, we can just rely on autosave, and we can keep the run going just like that.
Hopefully. If we die here again, then I'm going to have to start back.
Right, that is unfortunate.
Another point, so I'm going to make sure... So my gameplay player is a bit wonky at times. Sometimes it just goes like, oh, I guess you don't want to play the game. I guess you want to error. I'm like, no, but thanks. So yeah, let's see if we can do that again. This movement is really difficult because if you get stuck on a wall for even a little bit, you're bound to die. So
right. Oh, all right. Come on. All right. Yeah, we do damage boost for safety makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Like I said, any percent run would just try to have us complete that in one cycle. Anyway, we're coming up to Volt Catfish, so I'm surprised that we're taking this, because as any percent runner, I usually go to Neon Tiger because the weakness, the Ray Claw, makes Volt Catfish easy to deal with. But let's see how Focus takes care of this one, because Volt Catfish can be a chunky son of a gun right here. So yeah, we got Zero Final. and then do some saber action. As you can see, Zero has combat that is completely dependent on his Z saber, but it looks like we should be good. Yep.
Yeah, I should mention
Zero-
something, Tempest, if you don't mind. So
Yep,
for most of the
absolutely.
bosses in Extreme 100%, after you get Zero Final, they have a very similar pattern of attack, essentially. Basically, the way you want to defeat them as Zero is slash 3 times, do 2 Zero Finals, that's about it. Like, it's pretty simple. Every single one's pretty much like that. Don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think someone entered through like the door on the other side of this room, and then just that shook the floor a little bit, and it's just like, no, you don't have a cartridge in anymore.
Right.
This is my
Alright.
personal favorite stage of the run.
Oh, mine
because
too. Mine too.
there's a lot of good platforming here. In Extreme 100%. I mean, in Extreme in general, this is actually a completely unique stage. Because this is not how Blast Hornet stage is structured in the NX3. This is completely unique, and it honestly fits Hornet better, I feel.
I feel like either stage could go for fits Hornet well. In the third X game, it's a air base, which you actually get the base ride armor from, whereas here you can see a bunch of spy copters from the intro stage basically swarming, and we gotta do this. So I'm gonna let Focus take this here. Yep, alright, that's...
So that's a slight section skip, because now that we've gotten Volt Catfish's power-up for X, we now, or, you know, the armor from Volt Catfish's stage, we now are able to vertical dash as X, and that means we can skip that entire segment of platforming. But another important thing I want to mention as well is that, so instead of weapons, Zero normally has techniques, and certain things are needed in certain orders. The route here isn't just arbitrary. We actually have to get certain things in certain ways. The first 3 are pretty much set in stone. We have to do, oh, I forget names because I see the Japanese ones and I'm just like, yep, cool. What is it? Wire Sponge.
Yes.
We have to do Wire Sponge to get Thunder, or Lightning, I think. Which
Yeah,
then gives
lightning.
us... Lightning then gives us the ability to unlock Zero Final in Tunnel Rhino stage, which is
Rhino
then used
stage.
for every single boss, pretty much.
And speaking of bosses, we're coming up.
The thing about Zero Final is, for instance, in the boss refights, we're only going to have really 2 of them, because there's no weapon tank in this game.
Right. There's definitely not that. Alright, so we got Blast Hornet coming up right now. He's going to try and shoot bees at us and then try to sting us. We're going to try and avoid that. We're going to try and use the usual Zero strat.
The unfortunate thing is, if Zero Final registers somewhere else, it will actually, like, hit that thing and not hit what you're aiming for. So if I was just a slight bit lower than that, it would have hit those bees and then have been worthless.
There's a boss later on that especially makes this issue much more apparent, and I dread when we'll be getting to him, but hopefully it'll all work out.
Who is it?
Isaz and Sawilo.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Izaz and Zarilo. Ooh. That is the most frustrating boss in this entire game. That is in a later segment, though.
We'll get to him when we get to him. But for now we're moving on to Overdrive Ostrich, which I do believe is the only stage in this game that uses the Ride Chaser. Fun fact, if you do use X, this is another one of those moments where the Ride Chaser changes color. The Ride Chaser controls here are obviously a little different from, say, X2. They can be a bit slippery, and believe me when I say you mostly want to not move when you have a section that you're about to jump through. Otherwise, Focus is going to go through these damage boosts because those sandstorm tornadoes are instant kill, and we do not want that.
I'm going to be safe here. If I can explain a
yes.
few things while I go through here. So the reason why
Yes,
we're able to
absolutely.
do this now is because the armor we just picked up in Blast Hornet stage, which basically gives Zero better no knockback, which is useful here. That one's the most frightening right there, because oftentimes that one just does not like to, if you are slightly back in bounds, it will hit you, and then you instant die and have to go back to the start of the section. This ladder is also really frustrating, because if you just do a regular dash jump, oftentimes you're a bit too low for the ladder, and since you have a D-pad, 4 directions, it's oftentimes kind of difficult to hold both up and left here, just to make sure you're getting there, but we got the weapon there. That means Zero is now fully powered.
That's right. Oh, we have another Ride Chasers section coming up. Those 3 platforms do not move when you jump. That can easily be your bane. Damage boxes with the Ride Chaser can be a bit strange, though. For the enemies on an upslope... Hold on. Alright, just needed to see him. Oop, that was close. Yeah, you do not want to get crushed on the Ride Chaser in this game. Otherwise, that's obvious instant death. Otherwise, you have that moment where you had to stay still just to get that hard tank. And then enemies on the upslope, they'll damage you if you do not try to attack when jumping. By the way, attacking on the Ride Chaser, it's either the attack button or up. That can be a bit confusing.
I would recommend up and jump from jumping. Up from jumping basically prevents you from having to from getting stuck. Up from jumping basically means you stop doing that attack as soon as the Ride Chaser lands, which means that you don't have to perpetuate it. If you press the attack button, the Ride Chaser will continue on, and that means you could potentially get crushed because you have no way of getting out of it. You can't even jump after you do it, if I remember correctly, which is why I never do that method.
Yeah, believe me, I've died so many times. It's apparent on that fail compilation I once did, just to show how frustrating that is.
I'm not menuing efficiently. I'm not. You can move back. You can do some more efficient menuing than I'm doing. This has been a sudden run, so I'm still fortunate to show it, but.
Right.
There are also the reason why. So extreme mode. We should probably talk a little bit more about extreme mode. And what makes it different. So when you originally play the game, it actually doesn't have this mode unlocked from the get-go. It is an extra mode, effectively. So when you first play the game, you have an X mission and a Zero mission, and they are 4 Mavericks each. They end with their own unique bosses that aren't like the final boss here, which is Sigma.
Right, because it's always Sigma.
Yeah, because it is. So like you have to unlock this mode either by beating both of them or even just purchasing it from the shop. Extreme mode, in much like its name, is very extreme in that some things that aren't instant kill in the base game are instant kill here. So for instance, these fireballs here, these are normally instant kill, or these are not instant kill normally, but in the extreme mode here, they are instant kill. So to save face, we just go on the bottom. Save face. Be safer. Why did I say save face? To be safer, we just go on the bottom and just spam the dash plus A, or down plus A to, quickly spam through. Zero has more armor, and so Zero here takes less damage, and then we can just jump back up through here and go on with the stage. So, like, damage boosting is really important in this game. Not for everything, but, like, most things. Especially in the 100%. But in 100%, the reason I say I think 100% is better than doing any percent for extreme, because oftentimes with the any percent, you're kind of underpowered, and certain things you get in any percent, you get in certain things you get in 100%, you get in any percent anyways, like Zero Final, because Zero Final is just so useful as a move. It's just like, get it anyway. Because defeating the bosses would be significantly harder without that. And this comes the time where we actually have to have we have to have specific person finish the boss.
Oh yeah.
So in order to do this properly, I'm going to need to get Flame Mammoth here down to just 4 health and then shoot him as X. We need X's weapon here to get the next thing is in his next stage, Neon Tiger. The reason why we need this is because only X's weapon here will actually break the wooden wall to get the last armor, or the second to last armor capsule here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Zero to use that move, he has to be standing on the ground, and that can be a bit ineffective because the only thing that's between the player and the armor capsule is a floating platform. That's not very safe.
Yeah. So instead, we go ahead and defeat Flame Mammoth as X, even though we use Zero for most of it.
Yeah, pretty much. With that in mind, yeah, so we are doing Neon Tiger stage. Now, I want to give a little something from my personal perspective. When we do X any percent, this is the stage we start with because for some reason, Capcom decided to... Well, okay, in the separate modes between X and Zero, the bosses are split between them evenly. This comes with the problem that Neon Tiger is the one boss that is not weak to any of the weapons that X by himself can collect. That would be Tunnel Rhino's weapon, and...
Drill Crush, which I actually don't use.
Yeah.
Because Zero Final.
Yes.
So notice that, remember how I said we set scramble change to select? The other option is to change your weapon. So because we don't change our weapon often enough, we just change it to scramble change instead, meaning we don't have to menu to switch between 0 and X. By the way, I think just because next is a bit of movement, I think if we have any donations, it'd be good to read them now.
Certainly. Thank you very much. We've had a $30 donation with no comment. Thank you very much. And with that donation and the other donations we got earlier during Break the Record Live, we have passed over $8,000 raised for Alzheimer funded.
That's wonderful to hear.
Thank you very much.
There's still so many more. There's still more than half the marathon to go. That's amazing to hear. So yeah, this is just really at this point good movement. The stage, like, I don't know how else to explain it. A lot of the movement here is different from your usual X movement, or like if I played like X7, which actually will be later in this marathon. X7 has a dash button, and so most of the time we're just dash jumping. Also here, we also need to defeat Neon Tiger as X, because the Neon Tiger's weapon, Ray Claw, super useful on the final boss of the 8 Mavericks we have, which is, I can't get up here anymore. Swap to X. Notice that if you get damaged, okay, good. Notice if you get damaged, that actually prevents you from swapping, so you need to make sure that you aren't getting damage boosted at the wrong times. Other than the game, you know, completely cutting off, this has been a decent run so far.
Sometimes that at the end, yeah. But yeah, moving on, we now have Launch Octopus, and here's a fun fact that Focus did not realize for a while until one of his streams.
I did not realize this.
Flame Mammoth stage, for some odd reason, is swapped in as this stage theme for the Japanese only. Believe it or
international release. The international release fixes this, but I didn't realize this. I'm like, wait, this is Launch Octopus's theme, right? Right? This is Launch Octopus's theme.
Which is why you might have heard Launch Octopus's theme in Flame Mammoth stage earlier.
They swapped the X1 ones. It's kind of weird, honestly. Yeah. Now that's all the heart tanks. I think we've swapped. If I have done this properly, it should be 3-5. 3 for X, 5 for 0, because in the general sense we use 0 a lot more for bosses, so 0 is the one that should be taking more damage. In the final boss, though, with Sigma, we're actually going to use 0 for the first half, and then X for the second, kind of?
Yeah, it has to do with the final boss mechanic, specifically.
Yeah, we'll mention that when we get to it, though. But yeah, here's another mini-boss. This one's also familiar to X1 people. Yeah, a lot of this game is just a demake, but it's a really... To be honest, this game does so many things for being just a demake of a lot of the SNES games, and it having some elements of the PSX games helps as well. It feels super unique, and to me, it's actually my favorite game of the entire X series. The next best to me would be X8, so I have opinions that are a bit weird.
It's okay. I honestly enjoy this game too. I'd probably say it's one of my top 3s because it's the first X game I've ever owned, and B, it just does so much cool about, like...
It's on a platform that actually has less power than the SNES, and yet it feels it feels like games later on in this franchise, which is what I absolutely adore about it.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
If you still have a 3DS, the game is available for $5 on 3DS Virtual Console. Super good buy. Honestly, I did not regret it. The cartridge itself is also, which is what I'm using. I'm actually playing on a real Game Boy player. Good cycle, by the way, for this boss. Really good RNG. We're gonna swap to Rayclaw to get ready for the boss here. It's a good weakness, honestly. Yeah. So like, I would more than highly recommend Xtreme 2. Xtreme 1 less so. If you want a GBC game that has load times, then maybe. But like, I already have enough load times in my other 2 runs in this marathon. I like the lack of load times here a little bit.
Alright, so we're getting into the Launch Octopus fight. Watch quickly, do not blink. We just cut off his tentacles right there. And now we just need to keep damaging him. Like so. There we go.
Boss.
Jumpless. So, the one
Well, I did jump, actually, because doing a base slash does 3 points, whereas jump slashes do 4. So you actually want to jump to attack enemies. I just did a very small jump.
I was referring to launch Octopus jumping because
Oh,
if he manages
yeah, that
to,
makes more
if he
sense.
manages to get out of that stun pose, he becomes much more annoying to deal with. His actual weakness is Tri-Thunder from Volt Catfish, but the reason we use the Ray Claw first is because it prevents him from using his Tornado attack. It's kind of like what Flame Mammoth does when you use the Boomerang Cutter on hit. Ooh.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's
This
fine.
beginning section is all cycle-based, and so sometimes if you go too fast... End of this boss. Very lucky there. We need to have 2,000 souls by the end of the next boss. So I need to get at least 28 more from the next area in order to actually get all the upgrades I need before. Actually, wait, no, I'm safe. No, what am I saying? I'm safe. I don't need it for this boss, for this next coming Bix. I need it for the next segment after this. I got carried away. I was trying to do it early, and I'm like, oh. But no, for here, we actually need to have 2,000 souls by the end of the section. I did not do this properly.
I just want to point out that apparently the audio cut out for a bit. So
We all good now, though?
We're good. I think we're good. Yeah.
Can confirm we're good.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Rube.
This is
All
called elevator skip.
Yeah. The electricity is obviously instant kill, the equivalent to spikes. We get up here. We want to switch to X because, we now have his wonderful up dash, so now we can proceed as planned. And this stage, I want to say, is the unfortunate case where we're going to have to take on Isazan Sowilo. Some of you might know of him as the Sphinx tank, and the problem with this boss is that he is a huge hubbubaloo, to put it safely. The unfortunate thing about the Game Boy Color's screen limitations is that they decided to try and make him big anyway, so once we get into the boss fight, we want to be very careful that we got to manage this really quickly, otherwise it can go bad real fast.
It's arguably easier with Xtreme mode than it is for the individual X mission or Zero mission. But still, it is... I hate this boss. I think every Extreme runner will hate this boss. Extreme 2 runner will hate this boss, because genuinely this boss is just like one of the only like completely not fun things in the run.
I'm seeing a chat reaction to that one. Someone clearly recognizes that, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna let you carry this one, because
Okay.
I think you can explain it best.
Sure. So, in order to do this properly, we're gonna use Zero Final, but only sometimes. We're gonna get hit. I'm gonna use Zero Final here to get both levels, then do it again. I need to hit the spikes away, because otherwise that's not instant kill, but it might as well be. And there we go.
Yeah.
That actually was really good for me. For having no practice and having died to this boss before in the resets. Oh, I jumped! Okay.
I've never seen that happen before.
I think that's like a one-frame thing where it's just like if you're mashing A lot, the game's just like, oh, you jump instead. Let's see. So now we want to buy a few things. You first want to buy Ultimate Buster. This is an automatic charge shot for X, which is useful for the final boss. And then we want to buy all the weapon upgrades. So this is Zero Saber +2, X Buster +1 and +2. As Zero, we have 3 slots for parts. With X's full armor, we only have 2. Normally, we have 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just menu through and add Zero Saber plus 2, then switch to X. Go to X here and equip 1 and 2, because we actually don't need the other ones yet. And then I'm going to switch back to Zero. Whatever character you finish the segment as determines what section of the stage you go into for this. Because this is normally where the split occurs in the regular, in the original sort of two mission variety. The split normally happens here between Berkana and Gareth, is it? And so, as between the two, if you were playing their original thing, even though you actually do unlock the ability to swap at the first Berkana and Gareth Fortress stage, no matter what character you choose in those missions, it would actually just go to the normal one for that character anyway. Here we're going to select X, because this is actually where we get the 2 moves, the Shoryuken and the Hadouken. Unlike X1 and 2, these are kind of useless, because we can't charge. We don't charge in the mode, so, like, what's the point? We don't actually use them at all. They're also not even that effective to begin with, to be honest, in this game,
Not even in the
unfortunately.
boss rush?
Nope. They are not instant kill, so this is also a pretty difficult part, so I'm going to hopefully get this. So not only is the floor instant kill, that wave is instant kill as well. So you have to be very careful.
Doesn't flash. Yeah. So in Gareth's stage, there are waves just like that too. For some reason, Berkana and Gareth's stages both have instant kill waves that do not have the flashing that would normally let you realize that you're not supposed to touch it. Also, I'm pretty sure there's no way you can complete that section that I gave Focus serious time with without the foot parts.
Yeah, the foot parts here are really vital for X, even in any percent you get them, because if you weren't able to updash there, that would be it is possible, but it is significantly harder. There's, like, no point to it. These are the extra moves, and pretty much now you've completed the game 100%. All we have to do is complete the final bosses, and then we're good. So, we have basically, after this is... Well, after this, we then go into a major boss refight section, and at that point, if there are any donations, or if you guys want to talk more about the charity, we can. Obviously, there's just... That boss rush is actually the perfect things for marathons, because
first
there's not much happening.
Berkana, yeah.
I hope you guys like the English... I hope you guys like the Latin characters A and B. They're pretty important for this. Some of you might not be able to understand Japanese, but I think a lot of people here can probably understand A and B, and they're going to attack us. Because that's fun. Confusingly enough, the button the letter that hits you is actually the letter that's disabled. So you won't be able to use B if you get hit by the B attack. That was really good Berkana luck. So if you get the A, it means you can't jump. If you get the B, it means you can't shoot. And then you just have to wait for that to happen, but you can also destroy them or avoid them. It's kind of hard sometimes when she gives you a bad cycle, but that was actually a pretty good Berkana.
Yeah, see, the thing about that is that if you get hit by any of those balls, she immediately turns either the floor or the walls to spikes, and then she tries to attack you. That's not fun.
Oh, it isn't, but it's much better than the other boss, which is Gareth, and Gareth is the most frustrating. This is known pretty much as Zero Mission 100%, because this uses Zero a lot, and Zero Mission's sort of a joke category. But, yeah, we're getting onto the boss rush now. And so what we'll do basically here, the first boss we're going to complete is going to be starting with X, which will be the same reason why we did it in the story like that, which will be I forget names. I'm so tired.
Sponge?
No, it's not the first one we completed. It's the one which requires Rayclaw. I went to the wrong boss. Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine, we'll deal with this.
So now Zero's base slash does 6 damage, which means you only need to get actually like 5 or 6 hits on all the enemies, which means it's still more efficient to use Zero for a lot of these bosses.
Right.
I'm gonna actually switch back to X to then do launch Octopus, which is what I was thinking of, but I couldn't say.
It's okay.
I'm gonna switch to... while I'm here... Efficient menuing. I'm going to take down these and just swap them out with Ultimate Buster. So Ultimate Buster is going to be used for the final boss in this game, which is Sigma. Ultimate Buster is an immediate charge shot. And now that we actually have Zero having +2, we actually can just Jump Slash launch Octopus and be okay. Because 6, 6, 6, 6, that means you do more damage without having to pause for 10. And now we're just basically going to defeat the rest of these bosses pretty much as Zero. I'm going to get some health to be on the safe side. If there are any
Good idea.
donations, feel free to go with donations. If not, just feel free to talk about the charity.
Certainly. Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everybody that we are raising money for Alzheimer Fonden, and Alzheimer's Fonden's aim and purpose is to increase fundraising to the benefit of scientific research in order to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. I'd also like to shout out Kaspersky, Twitch, and ViewSonic, who are sponsoring the entire of the event. And speaking of Kaspersky and ViewSonic, we actually have a couple of prizes. Both ViewSonic with a minimum donation of $30 over this marathon, you can be in the running to potentially win a ViewSonic Elite monitor, the XG270QG. And if you donate a minimum of $50, you're in the chance of winning a Nintendo Switch. So let's get those donations in, and let's see if we can hit 9K by the end of the morning.
That'd be good to hear. Oh yeah, it's morning there. Oh. Whoop. Oh, what's morning? I forgot. Yeah, time zones. Yeah, effectively the boss rush is pretty simple. Use 0 where possible. Get health if you need it, but try your best to limit health pickups again, because you want to make sure you are keeping on the most efficient track. I used my 2-0 finals on Wire Sponge, because Wire Sponge is the hardest one to avoid the redemption mode. So I just wanted to ensure that it wouldn't happen. Whereas the other bosses don't have as detrimental. Like this is, for instance, Tunnel Rhino's redemption mode, and that doesn't do much. It doesn't make him invincible like Wire Sponge's does. So to be on the safe side, I'm going to do that. I am low on health, so I'm just going to be super, super safe here and get all the health I can. We actually have both health tanks. So
Right.
If we get health while at full health, we actually get more health for that. And so if you like, you can do that. But oftentimes I damage boost anyways in the bosses.
Yeah, sub-tanks are still useful in this game, but chances are you might not find a lot of opportunities to do it, unless you prefer to grind the DNA souls or any health pickups just for safety's sake, but it can waste a bit of time. It depends really on whether you really need the DNA souls or not. By the way, about Wire Sponge, when I said earlier that Neon Tiger has a weakness that in X's individual mode, no weapon he gets would work on him, that's the same for Wire Sponge, and in that case it's Flame Mammoth's weapon, so how about that one?
Yeah, that's
And
the whole
funny
point of the
enough,
Extreme mode. It's supposed to be able to combine the two, and Extreme mode's the truest way to experience Extreme 2. It's all 8 Mavericks, it feels like a full X game. And yeah.
Alright,
So now
so
we're
we're
getting
done
on
with
to
the
the
boss
final
rush.
thing. Notice how all the bosses have had pretty consistent damage tables for 0 so far, and all the things. It's like, okay, 4 hits, 10, you know, that sort of stuff. For some reason, Sigma is weakest to the air dash slash, which is done by jumping, dashing in the air, double tapping A basically, slashing, and that's worth like 8 rather than 6. So to start off with this first phase, it's very difficult. We jump at him.
It's basically X2 Sigma.
And there we go, that's the
Alright.
first boss. So now we have a second phase here. The second phase, we need to switch to X at the beginning. And by the way, at the end of this boss, once the boss is done, this is time, so I'll make sure to mention then.
Right.
We're going to switch
Time
to
is
X,
on final hit.
and I need to switch back to thing. But yeah, we have the Ultimate Buster, which is an automatic charge shot, which is what this boss is weak to, because we can't charge normally. We use that. Air dash slash. Or don't. Cool.
That was jank.
Yeah, sometimes the air, he's just high enough to the point where it's very frustrating. So let me try that again. That's probably going to ruin us a little bit. There we go.
Oh,
Notice he's yellow. That means he can be attacked by both at the moment. Both
That's going
0
to
and
change
X.
very soon, though.
Yeah, unfortunately. So 2 hits down on the boss.
Yeah, oh, by the way, flashing. If anybody has...
Probably should have worn that a bit earlier.
Yeah, sorry. Look away if your eyes are a bit sensitive. I forgot
Okay,
about
so now
that.
we switch to 0.
Alright.
I don't like this
And by the
part.
way, this...
I
Ooh.
should re-health. Cool.
Yeah. And I love this boss, though, because despite its difficulty, it's completely original. Where in Extreme 1, it's just a rehash of X1's final Sigma phase.
Okay, and time.
Time!
What was that? I don't know what the time was. I didn't have it on my end.
Ooh.
That was a pretty decent run overall. Not the best run of Extreme to have had, but not the worst. So,
I'm... Ooh. I still feel the rush from that one.
Oh, it's a fast-paced game. I'm not used to this, to be honest. I tried to commentate this myself, and I can speak pretty quickly, so I thought, oh, I'll be good. I couldn't get over everything I wanted to because this game just goes by in a flash. So, yeah. Do you have the final time at all, our host? Sorry.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like 41 minutes 25 seconds.
The funniest thing is that's only a minute 25 off my PB, that was not a bad run then.
What?
That's not a bad run. My extreme run is I can improve it still, but that's not bad for a no reset, especially when I had to literally reset the console for. So I guess it's not a no reset? Question mark? Ah, that's okay anyhow.
Oh boy.
Tempest,
Yeah.
you want to say any words left by the end of this?
Oh, yes. So I want to give a couple of shout-outs to a couple of people who are in the chat. First to Phazon Knight and K Poisson. K Poisson is the record holder for most of this game's categories. And Phazon is like basically a close second, and I really want to thank them both for having taught me the game when I was first starting out. I'm actually I'm a very recent runner. I kind of started around mid-June when another marathon Calthon was happening, and so it was quite the experience. But they know what they're doing. If you want to pick up this game, I highly recommend you check out their VODs or just join the Mega Man X speedrunning community Discord, and we'll have plenty of tips for you guys to check.
I'm more than happy to also help out, because I know I've actually, unbelievably, I realized I've run this game for about 3 or 4 years now, and it doesn't feel like that because I haven't played it for enough. So, yeah, thank you ESA for having us. If you want to check out more X stuff, Sonic 06 if you want that, I'm going to be doing that in a few days. My Twitch is FocusSight, or I'm on Twitter at refocused with a K. Thank you so much, ESA, for having me. I'm so glad we were able to hit 8K so early on. Keep those donations coming in, people. This is for a wonderful, wonderful organization, and I've never had to learn Swedish more than I have had now on PayPal, which is fun. But yeah, thank you guys at ESA. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.